let's let's do a show. It's been a minute. I wasn't here last week unexpectedly. The week before that, the stream ended abruptly early due to some technical difficulties on my side. So, oops, my bad. Anyway, welcome back. You can't do that on Salesforce. Today, and maybe for the next couple of weeks, we've got some. Well, I think I've got some guests coming, which is cool. We're gonna check out some. We're gonna do some projects, and both on screen and also both in org and like some kind of hands-on stuff, literally hands-on. We're still gonna build stuff. I think we're building a slot machine, maybe pretty soon, and we're gonna take a look at a Flow playing card deck, Salesforce Flow playing card deck. So that could be kind of cool. I don't know the exact dates, but I'll I'll share them. In the meantime, I'm taking a little break from some of the bigger game projects. They're coming back. Don't worry. We'll do some bigger stuff in the fall. I might bring back a few things. Uno, perpetual favorite. We pick it up, put it down once in a while. I think that'll come back. I might get Monopoly going again. I don't know. We'll see. It's not fall yet. It's still summer. We'll use the season of change in the next few weeks to make some decisions. In the meantime, I've been working with a thing throughout the week at my day job, and thought I would bring it to the show because I'm trying to answer the question: how do I never have to manage country and state pick lists again? And my approach has been not so much standard fields, although I think we can definitely like dive into that. This is going to be my challenge was, how do we create a reusable component for flows, for forms and flows, so that we can pick a country, it updates, it picks a state, and then where does that data come from? There's some APIs out there that you can get country and state data from. There's a bunch of them. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. I think we'll play with a free one called Countries Now, which is the Countries Now API. It's open source. It's only version like 0.1, but from what I've played with, it does the job. The other APIs that are out there also, they bring back the same data. They all bring back countries with related states or provinces. You can get the ISO codes. Some of them will give you the flag of the country as well. So you could maybe make these interchangeable, right? If you're an organization that's cool with using a free tool, go use Countries Now. If you're an organization that prefers to purchase software and have support and licensing and all that good stuff, we'll look at some of the other tools too. For now, we'll use Countries Now API, but I think we could make this interchangeable. Maybe if we try to abstract a few things out. So let's get started. I do have a little bit of starter code that we can work with. I'm not flying completely blind this week, but we'll go through it step by step. I think the other thing that's interesting about this that I've discovered is, again, in the spirit of using flows as much as we can, minimizing the code that we're writing for our LWCs. I've got some of that in here, some patterns and practices that I keep using, and maybe they're good. I don't know. And then this also touches a little bit on external credentials, name credentials, which are the way to go. These public APIs, it's interesting. They're public. You don't need any authentication, but if you want to use them as a service within a flow, you need to tell it named credentials. So we literally make named credentials that are no authentication credentials. So you need a thing that represents nothing to do a thing. There you have it. Well, without further ado, let's get this title screen off of here and let's get to some work. So I do have a dev org, or I'm sorry, a scratch org up here. I have a sandbox up here, and we can get going. So what are the moving parts of this? Well, let me bring up the countries now API, because that's the one that we're going to use. So pretty simple. Some of the terminology in here is a little it's a little weird, and admittedly some of the calls in here have changed. So some of the things that were a post are now a get. It lets us know when those are working or not. We can test everything right in the browser to see what's what. But what we've got here is a bunch of different endpoints that can get us a bunch of different stuff. So you can actually get like population information. Again, the flags, I mentioned that. Currency types in those areas. Cities within a country. That I haven't done anything with that. That sounds like a whole lot of data. Maybe it's just kind of big cities. I don't know. That's a lot. There's a lot of cities there. This is cities by country. Is it maybe if there's a parameter that lets you say how big of the city you want? Or cities within a state. So we're not using any of that right now. I'm using, where are you? It's a little bit weird name. We do have an ability to get all of the countries and all of the states, but that's a big payload to return. Whole lot of stuff there, which we could use that. Right, we can get that whole payload back and then maybe cache it, and then it's all very efficient. I did have a get countries and a get states, so let's take that approach for argument's sake today. Maybe we'll, this thing isn't going. This isn't we're not going to sell this product, so we'll just do what we can with it. Now, what was I was getting countries and ISO codes, and I wanted to get this data back because I think the ISO codes are important depending on how your Salesforce org is set up. You might be requiring the ISO 2 code in your mailing country, on your account, or what have you. If you're looking to standardize, we can get all the options here. You can get the full name, we can get the ISO 2 country code, the ISO 3 country code, which honestly I didn't know existed. I guess, well, USA exists and CAN exists, so I just haven't seen them for other countries like Afghanistan and Albania, but they all have them. So that's what I've been pulling back with a get countries call, and then when you call get states, you can get somewhere you can get single country and states. Let's see. Get single country and positions. Get single country and codes. We don't want that. Get single country and its states. Right. So this is actually one that is no longer a post. I think this is now a get. But hang on a second. All right, so let's start with countries and states. So first things first, we're going to let's see. Totally not looking off to the side to see what was built before. First things first, we can't do anything without credentials in this, so we're going to go down that path of creating empty credentials that are required to make a service in Salesforce. So we'll start with our external. I'm going to call it no. No authentication. This music isn't too loud. Need a little background to avoid driving myself crazy. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're creating an external credential to literally say no authentication. There we go. You can use this over and over and over again. I actually use this for a couple of different purposes in another project, including playing around with countries now. So now that we have this, we still have to set up a principal for it, because this is what we actually assign to permission sets in order for this to work. That's the other thing you have to do, right? You have to give an external ID, you have to give an external credential, not just the credential, but this named principal is what we're going to assign in permission sets to allow people to use this stuff. So we'll create that. And now that we have our named principal, I can go back to my named credentials, and I'm going to create a named credential for, this is going to be countries now, API. These are like the one sections of Salesforce that don't take the, turn the label into the name. Kind of annoying. All right, what's our root of this thing? I'm gonna go with this. We'll go up to the API version. Enable for callouts. Here's our external credential. No authentication, not dog API. I think we did that on another show a while back. Okay, and none of this stuff we really need to worry about. So there's our named credential. Groovy. Now, pause for a dramatic drink. Okay, now we can go create our flows to go get this data. Why are we creating flows to do HTTP callouts? Because that's what I like to do. I have been in the habit of trying to wrap every API call I can with flows, because then I think instead of having to do all the mumbo jumbo in your Apex code, well, not only can you just use the flow to make the call out, make the external service, I can use that flow in my code and go get whatever I want and know that it's basically like a data source, and I know what I'm going to get back from it. And then we'll create a couple of Apex defined some Apex defined variable objects, whatever they're called in Flow, to also help support that. All right, so let's make our get countries flow. This is going to be auto launched. And the first thing we're going to do is an action, create call out. Now, what I'm going to end up with here are two call outs to the same external service. I'm sorry, which is going to mean two external service configurations. I don't love that because I'm pretty sure we can have multiple endpoints in our external services. I just am not smart enough to generate the schema documents that are needed to combine them. So maybe we'll do that at some point here. But for now, we're just going to do a couple of gets. This is get countries. And if anybody knows how to do that, I'm all ears. Knows how to create create one service with two endpoints and do it flow or config. Because as soon as I go over to the external service itself, I just don't see a way to do that. But we can take a look. Oops, what was our country API or IP ID? So countries./ISO. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that looks scary, but here it is. Okay, this gives me all of the countries in the world, I think, and gives me their ISO codes along with it. That's what we're after for now. So that's all I want. And we'll get that to countries. There's no parameters that are passed to this one, so we're just going to leave it as is. We'll use an example response, and we'll show this giant. Let's just copy this. Review that. What What do we get? They have an error and a message. Error is good for us because we can do stuff with it. And then we have a list of items. And yeah, we're on our way. Okay, so we're going to get that data back. Groovy. And then this is, now that we're done creating the service, let's just get countries. And that's that. Okay, so let's save this. Get countries. How could this change in the future? Let's see, do we want to do this? Yeah, we'll do this. We might come back and just do this without. Well, we'll leave it. Let's be good people, right? Let's be good to ourselves and not overextend the security here, even though this is a pretty innocuous call to make. Okay, so we got our data. Now what? Well, I'm going to save. I just saved that, so we're good. I would love to put this data into some structure, right? Some cleaner way to store it. So let's create an Apex class called Get. Let's call it just country data. Okay, so this will just be not much to this, just some fields, some Aura enabled fields, so we can call this from our. Do that. We're just so we can reference this in our flow. So I just right now have name. Do this all lowercase. Got ISO 2 and ISO 3. Good enough. Spoiler alert, we're going to make a state data also, but we'll do that when we get to it. So we got to refresh this so we can see that component. I'm sorry, that variable type. So we get our countries, and now let's do a transform. Because transforms are freaking sweet. Transform countries. Our source data is get countries. We are going to go down here. And our target data is going to be Apex defined multiple. And we should have, if I could spell country data here. Yahoo. Now, easy peasy. I'm just going to take this collection. Oops, sorry. I'm going to take this left side and map it to the right side. Yep. Now, what I can't do is I need an output variable, right? So what's the whole point of this? I'm going to call this wherever and get back that country data list. But I can't output variable a transform. So I have to set an output variable that's a variable that I create. So let's set output. Let's create a new variable. This is going to be country data. Okay, it's going to be a Apex defined list of country data because the transform's just going to hand it off to this so I can mark something as available for output. So that equals, let's see, transform countries. They're the same data type. So I can do that. And that should be it. Activate that. I could debug this, I guess. It's not going to really show us much. Aha! So, thing number one right here is we have to create. I'm going to do this as a permission set because I didn't in my last project. I need to do some cleanup. What should we call this? We're doing this with countries now, but we could swap in a different API provider. Let's just call it country state. I want to call it. Oh, so I called this project Atlas. So let's call it just Atlas. Atlas user. And I should be a good kid here, right? I should be. We need that. What we really need is the named credential access here. So let me duplicate this. Follow my little pattern that I usually follow. Try to name this right, because we're going to create a permission specifically to access this. So we'll call this external credential principal. I'm gonna shorten this because that's a whole lot of. So ext cred. There. Save us a little space in the name because I'm sure it's gonna get too long. Okay, we save that. Then we do the thing we said we were just going to do. Assign that. Okay, now let's create a group. So the project is called Atlas. At least that's what I think it's going to be called. Atlas user. Okay, permission set, the one we just made. I like doing this really atomic model. I haven't done it in a huge org, so I don't know if and when it's going to fall apart. But I'm going to keep doing it. Keep doing it. And because this is a Scratch org, don't ask me why. I can't assign from the permission set group. I have to assign from the user because I can't see anything. Now, let's see how we did. Can we run this again? Cool. Piles of data, transformificate, outputify. That's it. But it's structured when it comes back. So when we actually call this thing, you know, we'll get back what we expect. So what do we got so far? I better start taking inventory here. I'm going to pull stuff from the org. Forget. We've got external credential. We've got a service registration. Here's what I would love to, again, kind of figure out. Because it generated, this is crazy. It generated the schema, the OpenID, or I'm sorry, OpenAPI schema for me. So diversion without getting completely lost here. Let's just look at this. Let's replace all the quotes. Replace all the quotes with a quote. And then prettify this. So wow. Well, I guess I can figure it out, right? I'm a smart kid. Can we do this? Because we're just going to do another get call. But we do have a parameter to pass to it. So here's what we could do. I think we could, let's go create the state flavor of this. And then maybe we can pull the state markup into this and line them up. Because I think path is really the root. And I'm just going to get another path. So maybe this is the way to do it through the metadata. But for now, we're going to do it. We're going to just create a new, this is active. Okay, cool. Let's create a new flow you can see the pattern that's emerging here. And I bet there'd be a cool way to do this just by like, even with like a, maybe a, just like a CLI command. If we could get to know the structure of this, it could generate it for us, I bet, potentially. But we're not going to do that right now. We'll create another auto-launched flow. We're going to create a new action. We're going to create a new call-out. We're going to call this get states. So I'm creating another service. I ultimately don't want to do that. But because there's like, there's no way on that previous step to say add to that I can figure out anyway. This is another get. What is the call on this one? Because it's a little, again, a little different than what the API might say. But we're going to do, okay. So this is definitely different. Countries slash, I'll go out here. Let's find this, what we thought this was. Get, under state, get single country and its states, right? This is supposed to be a post. I think I tried this in Postman. Do I have that open? No, I don't. I don't have that open. But I think even if I just hit it. No, those are all the states. We don't want that. Somehow, I discovered that the call for this is, it's actually now a get. It's not a post as this describes. We are going to do, we're going to do a get to countries slash states slash Q. And then we're going to pass the country. Let's try Canada. There we go. Okay, so we get, what do we get back from this? Very similar structure. We get some more details about Canada itself. And then we get the states. So name and state code. No ISO. There's only ISO 2, basically, on these. I'm just going to call it state code. I guess we could call it ISO 2. Maybe we make two variables, two properties, and just name them the same. But that is it. So countries, what was that? Countries slash state slash Q. Okay. And then we are going to pass a parameter, country. That is a string. This is, let's be good. Get states by country. That's actually curious. Are state codes ISO? Yes. They don't have ISO 3s, but so I'm gonna, when we get to that point, I'm gonna create, we're gonna create ISO 2 and state code as the two properties on that. Okay. Country is the name of the country. I wonder if you can pass other stuff. Can I pass like CA? Nope. CAN? Oh. Nope, that was wrong. It just changed. Nope. Okay, so it's got to be the name. Okay. We got a key. We're going to pass the country. Use a sample response again. We're going to try to connect these two if we can. Where'd you go? All right. Here's our sample. So in this case, we get kind of two layers. We get the data of the country, and then there's a property called states. And this was, I was staring at this and lost for a while, but I finally realized, oh, there's a states thing under there. Okay. All right, we're going to do that. And this will be good. So now we've created our service. We're going to run our service. And I'm just going to put something wrong in here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to, we're going to be able to pass in a parameter called country. So input variable. Country is country. All right. This should probably be Atlas get states. Let's do that. I should fix the other one too. Forgot I gave it a name. Run as the user. Now I already granted the what do you call it? The external credential, which is relying on the same one here, so we should be okay. Activate that. Oh, well, so what I don't have, I activated it, but it's useless. We need our, we need another Apex class. Like country data, only state data. I guess I probably didn't need to name that Atlas. I could just name it whatchamacallit, because maybe we just create a namespace for this guy. So a little redundant, but I'm going to fill that field twice. I think, can I do that with the same value? I think I can. Let's find out. Okay, name ISO2. Refresh this. Same thing, right? Transform and assign. Oops. Transform. Oh, what am I doing? Get states. Down to the states. Name goes to name. State code goes to state code. State code goes to ISO2. I don't know why I've never done that. I wasn't sure if it was going to let me put it into multiple fields. Okay, activate that. Let's debug it a second. Now that it's active, let's debug it. Got states. Transformed. Okay, we also have to set output. State data. Okay. All right, so we got countries and we got states both wrapped, callouts both wrapped in flows. And let's do a little experiment here. So I have both of these external service registrations now. Can I combine them? I have to combine the schema. Base path. Can I put multiple operations? All right, let's take a look at this metadata object. maybe. So we can have a list of operations. And then can we have a list? So our schema is just going to be our schema, I think. Why don't I see operations in this actual list here? Schema is one schema. Okay, well, let's see if we can piece this together. So if we create a new, let's call it, because this is going to be countries now API. All right, and then I'm just going to steal everything from get countries. What's the other one? Get states. Okay. All right, and then this is the get. So this is already the countries, the get countries call. So now let's grab the schema from get states, put it in a new page. All right, replace our, place our quotes. Oh, prettify that. Oh, geez. Yeah, okay. Now, I don't know how we do multiple infos. Oh, this might just be the info. Yeah, I think this is actually going to be... This is just, whoops. This is just going to be, I think this is now get countries, countries now API, right? I think, I don't know. We're just going to add another path. Yeah. We're going to grab this path and attach it to because I think this is just like a what do you say? Well, it's an object. these are the properties of that object. Okay, now let's take this into a new file, and we're gonna get rid of. Let's replace all the fours with a, I guess with nothing, right? So now we got to uncombobulate this. Okay, and then let's take out the new lines. Did I just get rid of something? I hope not. Replace those with nothing. And then let's look for the, and we're going to replace with amp clot. Okay. Back over to countries now API, and this is our new schema, I think. And then save it. Okay. Well, let's see what we got. Countries now API, 2 operations. So I like that better, right? Because we can only have so many external services. So we get 150. I needed to burn 2, one for each of these callouts. Let's see, active objects, used object. These look fine, right? This is expecting some big. These APIs can be big. We just don't want to eat up a ton of them. So now that I have that, let's see, what does this look like if we click through it? Okay, tells us stuff. So what if we go back over here? Can I rewire this get states? I'm going to create a new one. I'll call this get states deprecated, hopefully. Action. Get states from countries now API. Okay. Country is country. Save that as a new version. So now we're using the actual call. And then I think is this still right? If I get rid of this, I think this, if I get rid of this, is going to tell me. Right, okay. So we do have to redo the transform. Let's just start this all over. Yeah, it was kind of flaking out. Oops. Took me a minute to figure out how to get rid of these. There we go. Okay, I think we can get rid of this now. Yep. All right, cool. So we combined them manually. Kind of annoying, but in lieu of having an actual schema, that works. And we cleaned up here, so now we can activate that. Now it's going to be sad about us. I think because we're using the older version in these other flows, I'm going to have to delete those. Oops. So let's just delete our older versions, I think. Okay. And now I think we can actually get rid of that external service because it's a dupe. Groovy. All right, let's do the same for countries. I'm just going to save this as a whole new flow. It'll make it actually easier to delete the other one. I won't have to... I won't have to delete the versions. I think I can just delete all of it if I deactivate it. So, get countries from the countries now API. So this could be a place here where I got 2 slashes in there. I think I have to fix the API or the external credential name. We'll do that in a minute. This could be a good place to have the dynamic piece. So to be able to see, well, what country data provider are you using, and that this get countries might actually be get countries now versus other stuff. So you could have a decision at the top. Maybe there's a variable or a property configuration variable that we put somewhere that says which one are you using. We're only using one for now, so we'll go with that. All right, let's rewire our transform. Okay. And then everything else stays the same, I think. Yep, because we're setting countries data, we can get rid of this. I fixed the name while I was at it, so now we should be able to go here, get rid of this. Oh, wait, no, because it's in flow versions. Hang on. Deactivate and delete. Now we should be able to get rid of that. Yay! Nice and clean. 2 flows. That's nothing now. So then we could just kind of replicate this over and over again, right? And then if I was smarter, you know, we could figure out this. And some APIs provide this, right? They provide the OpenID spec, which is what Salesforce wants. It's intelligible. It's just very deeply nested. And I was looking for a couple of like apps that would build it, but they just felt so like kind of esoteric. Like what Salesforce does is it generates one based on some data that you know, the input that you get. It'd be nice if you could just go to a site that says, hey, I want to make make me an API spec for Flan, and then, okay, what do you want? You know, /countries /ISO. It's a get. Here's the description. Here's what I expect back. You know, kind of just build it in page. I don't know. Basically do what Salesforce is doing under the hood. Or maybe we just make a combinatron, you know, that could say, give it for a given list of external service registrations, return me a combined one. That's probably a smarter way to do it. Because I think it's just the paths. Now I have to see what like a post, you know, or a delete looks like, because maybe then it introduces some other things, but I don't know. This seems to work. Right, let's get rid of all this stuff. And we don't need, we're going to pull again because it should get rid of our other 2 services now. Maybe. Oh boy, we're going to do this again. Pulling works for like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is it because I made a change in here? I don't know. But we are lost now. So sad. I'm just going to stop this. I know these are gone, so I'm going to delete them. I hesitate to retrieve because I don't know what that's going to do to the whole push-pull thinger, but it's so frustrating, man. Like, what is that? Maybe it's good. It just ended because it ended with exit code of 0. It saw no changes. I guess that could be. It doesn't recognize it. Oh, hey, these are deleted. I don't know. We'll try another pull when we do some more work here. Okay, so recap. External credential, named credential, permission set for the, external principal, named credential, permission set for external credential principal. I guess we could grant access to these flows specifically. I think they're granted to everybody right now, so maybe that doesn't, let's not go there. I had to do that somewhere for Experience Cloud guest user, maybe expected all of that. Okay, had to do a couple things after in a break time here. Okay, we got all our stuff. Now, how do we call these? Again, my use case was, well, I want to end up, for one thing, I want to end up with a component that I can drag around anywhere and say, here's a Lightning Web component. My first use case was a flow, right? So we could do that to start, but the LWC can go anywhere. So we want to call from our LWC these flows as like data sources now, get back our data, create pick lists, handle the dependency, logic between them, which is really, I select a country, it goes and gets the states. I guess make those cacheable, right? Because those aren't going to change very often, which we could add a more sophisticated caching layer to this, so things don't really even need to get called multiple times, but we'll just kind of hit the API for today. And we'll throw cacheable equals true on the or enabled Apex controller that I think, check me on this, I don't think there's any way to call an LWC or call a flow directly from an LWC. Unless I don't want to call a screen flow. Could we, what if though, let's look at that flow. So I don't want to launch I don't want to launch a screen flow. I just want to get the data from it. But if I look at this Lightning flow, because I ended up wrapping both of these in Apex. That was my first swing at this. But wouldn't it be cool if this could pass you? Darn it. It can't. This is really meant for, a screen flow interview. So, yeah, bummer. Because technically, these are now endpoints in the API, right? So if we could call, is that? I think that's right. The rest. Not that we necessarily want to do this, but I think these are endpoints somewhere. Yeah. So what I don't know is what do you get back, and could we, should we be calling into our own REST API to get this data? Because if I could do that, I don't think I can do that from LWC either, though. Yeah, I think I've got to wrap it. I wish there was a native way to do that. Now we could, when I implemented this before, I created an Apex class. It took we could dynamically call the flow. You can see where my brain's going here, right? I would love to just have a way to, if I got to call a flow, is there a way for me to do it once and never have to write this again, pass it parameters instead? So I can dynamically pass the name of a flow. I can do that. I can dynamically pass parameters to the flow. And I can get back the parameters that I'm expecting. Can I get the list of parameters though? So Apex, so it's flow.interview that's doing all the work here. I didn't here. What do I get out of this thing? Create interview. Pass the input variables. Get variable value. So I think this is where it's a little tricky, right? But if I knew the names of those output variables, I could provide those too and say, return me this stuff. It's worth we could try it. That's what we do here. That's what we do on the show. Because I can absolutely create a, because I can't call an an auto launched flow from LWC directly. There's nothing to do that. I'm going to need some Apex controller to call. Ideally, I would just have LWC, right? That could serve as like a, what would you call it? Flow call out. I don't know, flow call out, right? So let's see what we can do. This will be fun. Here comes rabbit hole number 1 of the show. We'll call this flow call out. So if you wrap your flows the way that I just did, you should be able to, ideally we'll be able to use this over and over again. So we know we're going to need the flow name. And we're going to need what else? We're going to need input variables. And then we're going to need output variables. Output variable names. So I can pass a map of input variables. And I can pass the output variables I want back from this. And then I think we can, then we're just on the way to calling our requesting our stuff, right? So now we need we're going to need a Apex controller for this. So we'll call it flow call out. I haven't figured out a great way to name these. So we'll just call it flow. I'm going to have it match the name of the Apex class. So I'll have one aura enabled call here. Call. We want the flow name. We want it's going to be a map string object input variables. I'll be curious how this gets handled. And then a list string output variable names. Okay, so then we just caused trouble now. So we're going to call the flow dot interview the flow equals create. Is there another option for that? I think that was it. Methods. Oh, namespace. If we're doing that, I guess we could include that too as an option. We'll deal with that later. All right, deal with it now. And you can just pass null for that if you don't have one. So we'll make flow interview the flow. Let's just make that a property or variable here in the method because we're going to reuse it. Okay, we're going to return a map string object. Okay, so the flow runs. Now we can loop, let's see, for string output variable and output variables. We can populate this. And then we get that variable. It's just an object, so hopefully it lets us populate this. Try to be good with my names here. So we're not casting anything to anything here. I'm hoping that it's cool with whatever, like I want to get a list of state data back. Whoever's calling this thing, it's kind of, you know, you put this in, you call this LWC, it's kind of your responsibility to know what it's going to give you back, so you can parse it in your LWC when you're done. But let's see. So far so good. I can pass a map object back. Okay, so now we need to call this from our LWC. What do we call that? Let's call it call out, I guess. I don't know. Call feels like a very very specific word. Isn't there a call in JavaScript, I think? So I don't want to bugger that up. Oh, there it is. Good how smart you are. Great job. Connected callback. I guess we'll do this here, right? So let's see, so if I now start thinking about, well, how's another component going to consume this data? It's going to ask for these three things. When it's going to build whatever it needs to build. Well, it doesn't even need to build. We can definitely reference flow name. No, it's going to build whatever it needs to build, and then it's going to pass this. It's going to pass that into the flow callout component. Flow callout component does its work. We get everything back. Pass it back to the caller, essentially. And how do we do that? Probably with some kind of event, I think. So it's a kind of event up and out of this component up to the caller. So we're going to want to output variables. And we're going to this dot output variables equals await call out, and then our stuff. Let's see, we might not so would we pass an array? Well, that should be null, right? So we do need to do a null check on the gotta do that, right? So we're going to call namespace. There's a lot of parameters here. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. Passing these the same names. Full name. Yep. Put a try around this. Okay. That's our output variables. So then we have those to pass back up. I think we got it. I have to grant access to flow call out, I think. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So I guess if, actually what do I do? Classes, right? I wonder if we need those too. Let's assume we do. Okay, add all those to my group. Okay, I think we have access to everything now. Now we need something to call this. So I'll make a new component. Call it country state pick lists. And then we're going to reference our I guess we should say I wonder how it'll feel about a blank. Might not love that. We'll find out. Flow name. What's our flow name? Get countries. How did I name that? Atlas get countries, I think. Yeah. And input variables. Actually, I'm going to just pass in the stuff that I know I need. The output, so the one thing I will need to do is create output variable names. And I'll do that here. country data, right? I think that's it. Put this in here. Oop. So I'm gonna probably do this twice, right? I'm gonna create another so let's do this. If I don't want that I don't want that to fire. Unless we have these defined. So trying to use a flow callout as like a data provider is sort of where we're at. Now I need passing these parameters in, and then I need to get them back because that'll be my next, my next test. I want the country data from get countries. And I can never remember how to do that. LWC data from child to parent. I think we have to. Got to go up. So we gotta event out of that, right? Yeah. So we need a. On on response, I guess we could call that. Equals something. Is that how we reference that? Okay, so let's see. We're going to dispatch that event in the child. So we're going to do that here. Response event equals the custom event. Response, and then the detail is the data that we get back. Right, we're just going to pass back the output variables. I don't know what just happened there. And then we're going to dispatch event. Okay, so that does that. That's the child component holding up its end of the bargain, and then we need a handler for on response in the parent, which is going to be a that's going to be a method. Find the example here. Yep, handle. We're going to handle. Got to be clever with our names here. we're going to handle get countries response. And then our country data equals event.detail.country data. Okay. And that's going here. So this should only render if we have this value, and we're not changing that value, so I hope that it's not going to reevaluate this over and over again, because we don't want that. We just want to be able to call this once. I don't need it to get the countries every single time. So hopefully we're using the template rendering to react to... Hopefully this is not reacting anymore, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So I'll get my country data back, hopefully, and then we are going to put it... We're going to need a... So now our next if is if we have that country data. And then we can create country options. So we're going to loop over country data. We're going to add. This could be a property that we add here, because we're going to options dot push. Because this is what? This is an object that I think has label and value. That's what the options in a combo box expect. So label equals country dot name, and value equals, sorry, country. I'm going to say country dot name here as well, but we could absolutely want to say country name format. Right, and then we could say eventually this is going to be name, ISO 2 or ISO 3. Sorry, country, let's say label format, so we're consistent. And country value format, same thing. And then state label format. And country and state value format. So name, ISO 2, or state code, which are exactly the same. Arguably, we don't even need to pass those two. We might just get rid of one of them. And then we can reference that here. I'm not going to do anything with that for the moment, because I just want to see if this is going to work. Okay, so we got options now. We need to return options. And then we need a combo box. I'm going to build this combo box, and we're going to take a little break. Take care of a couple of housekeeping items. We'll take a break, and then I'll do the grand unveiling of the test of this. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now, I'm off script, if you will. I did not, I did not build this kind of generic flow getter thing. I did build the stuff that I'm definitely looking off to the side for, because syntax is not my... Oh, actually, wait, this is going to be selected country, which we do need that as well. And this is options. I guess we could say on country selected. And I think I want to change this too. I like sort of having the same. And required. So a few more parameters for us to pass into this. These values. So we probably want country pick list label. State pick list label. Required. I'll have to make some defaults for these. And then we need selected country and selected we are going to want to pass that back. Maybe a few others, right? So if we can select the country, but then what I did on my other implementation of this was I return the country, I return the country and both of the country ISOs, depending on what you want to use in your flow or elsewhere. Because again, you might have, just have different requirements for what to display. And did this work? Cool. All right. Yes, we're about halfway. Is it halfway? Yeah. So we're going to 2. So I'm gonna take a little break, fix a few things, fix a few day job things, and we'll come back. Let me put up a couple things here, and see you all in a few minutes. I guess I'll leave the music on because why not? All right. Back in a bit. Back in 10. I think. Let me do this. Say 12:40. And I think that's it. How do you work this thing? Okay. See you in a minute. See you in 10 minutes. And we're back. Yeah, it was close. 10 minutes, took 15 minutes. That's okay. That's okay. Yellow. We're back. I need a better background. Gotta get this Mac thing off of here. Mac schmack. Just make it, you can't do that on Salesforce background. That would be cool. All right, where did we leave off? We're optimistic that our thing is actually going to work. And we're going to find out real quick if it does or not. So this is saved. I'm going to throw this. I'm just going to make a... Oh, wait, we have to do some... we got to do this. We got to make this exposed. We got to enable this for a couple of targets. Let's enable it just for app screen, I guess, for now. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to make an app for the sole purpose of accessing this. Country, state, pick list test. One big region, country, state, pick lists. Sure, good, great. We're not keeping it. Let us turn on Lightning Debugger because we're definitely going to need that. And let's go find our thing. Okay, we got country state pick list, and then we have flow call out. So this should call when it first renders. And then we're going to see how that turns out. And then we're going to see if our handler gets some data back. And we're going to refresh this. Okay, it's being called. Down here. I'm curious what undefined is going to pass. It might not like that. Hopefully it's a null. Hopefully it's just null. This, however, is empty, which is not great. Because we are setting that, right, in our code. Get countries, output variable names. Get countries, output variable names. Should be returning an array with country data in it. But that is not there, so that could be problematic. So I also wonder if I can, instead of having this fire automatically, if I could just expose an API call. Can you do that? Can you expose a method on a child? Call methods on children. This is probably a better way to do this. caller contains video player. Caller has handle play. Handle play finds the thing and plays. And then in the, where's the play definition? Right. I think that's better. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be better than us just waiting and hoping for things to happen. So let's instead of this, hopefully we can do an async, because I just want to await that response. Okay, so we're going to call out. If I have multiple of these on the page, I think I want to do my this is the get countries. Because we're going to have a get states too. Now I hope that if I set up this variable that it's actually going to pass it. I don't know if I have to pass those parameters on the method. I forget. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Because we're passing the video URL here, so when play gets called, yeah, I think it will. I think you can define them either. You can either declaratively set them, or whatever we declaratively. That's a fun word to say. Then it will. We should pass it. So let's try it. We're going to leave that there. We're just going to say we have to get this, do a query selector on this. All right, so when our page is ready, and that's what, oops, gotta find, oh, come on. I gotta find that. How do I find that? I think that works, right? Then we just say call out, right? I think. Let's go with that. Okay. Do over. Now I should just be able to call it because I'm going to get the event. Uh-oh. Right. Is that a rendered callback then? I don't know. Let's find out. If that do thing. we still waiting for the... I still have my handler out here. We don't need... Right. Hold on. That could be why it's null or undefined, because we can't find it because it's not rendered, because our rules are not rendering it. So that should make it available. But it's null. What was it? C flow. That's null. That's interesting. Maybe it's rendered. Maybe it's not when we're connected. Let's try rendered. Now we have it. Okay. So we're going to jump over to the call out. Okay. It's still weird that that's null. Do I have that defined wrong? Output variable names. Get countries output variable names. Output variable names. Where else do I need to look? Here? No, that should be good. Because flow names is... What if I track it? Maybe that's what we have to do. I'm just gonna set it as a. I'm just gonna do this. Let's just do it that way, because maybe the get ain't getting. Not sure why that would be, but could be. And then did the name of that just change? Get countries output variable names. One more time. Get countries output variable names, output variable names. That should do it. Output variable names. All right. Try again. We're going into, so we know that's working. Get rid of that one. Yay. Okay, it is working. Something's up. So what happened? I don't know what just happened there. That was super weird. I feel like there's some kind of order of operations thing happening here. Okay, yeah. I don't know why we're... Because suddenly we can't even debug here. So I'm not sure what's... I'm just going to... What are we doing? Something's really sad. Okay, I'm just gonna... Let's just hit this page again. Yeah, what is going on? I have a feeling we're in like kind of a death spiral here. Okay. Closing you. Let's try that again. What on... My whole browser is like having a non-responsive coronary right now. Is there something else that's like trying to kill it? It's always a bad sign when your cursor can't click. Maybe I just gotta kill my browser. I'm gonna do this. Let's make this not do this right now. Maybe it's trying to call it every single time. I bet you that was it. I bet you it's... So, I think we need to... We need to check. Yeah, I think we need to check for that. I was just looking at the stream and like my face is frozen. The whole thing's kind of frozen. Look at it. Here we go, we're back. Okay, I don't know what just happened there. So, all right, we're gonna test. We're gonna make sure that we're not calling. Ooh, let's just skip. Just bail if it's been called, because I have a feeling it's just getting rendered callback is just hammering on it. This still befuddles me though, why this is empty. Oh, because we're gonna track it. Did we do that? I don't think I did that. Maybe this will help. Because it's a array, I don't know. which is what we want to pass, I'm pretty sure. We don't have a namespace, that's fine. But we do have this. Wait. Yeah. Super weird. It's not going to return anything. But let's, I guess, you know, let's at least let it kind of round trip and do its thing. I don't know if it actually did the callback. I didn't see any errors. But it's also not coming back with anything. So, all right, let's turn on our dev console. Kind of watch what this is doing. Also not catching there. Script thrown exception. Oh no. Never a good sign. Argument initial values cannot be null. Okay. Gotcha. So in here, if input variables is null, do we have to pass them all? I guess that's the next question. Maybe that's why it doesn't like it. I'm gonna do this. Maybe that's why it's flaking out. Maybe somehow it's like triangulating what parameters it's expecting and then not getting it. I don't know. Let's do that. And then over here, let's say if that's null, then we're just going to pass a blank one in. Because I think you have to do that no matter what. Okay. Try that. And go again. That one's stumping me, though. Because we get this, that's undefined, that's undefined. Okay, we're ready to run it. Oh, interview not started. Well, that would help. Let's see. Let's start the interview. I'm staring right at it, and Yeah, we have to start the interview. That would help. We should probably put all this in the try statement. So return null here. Don't really need this. Oh. If I throw, I don't have to return, right? Yeah. Okay. So now it'll actually start. It still doesn't explain why why I'm not passing any variables or output variables. Why? Okay. Well, let's just see if we get through the rest of it here. Okay. It worked. We just don't have any output variables to show for it because I can't pass them. Blah. So kind of good. I mean, kind of good. And it would run that as well. Okay. Everything's working except that parameter passing. Why is that? Get countries output variable names. It's just an array, right? It's just a list. Just a list. What if I'm just going to hard code pass a value into that? Because we could accept a array, right? Just interpret it. It's got commas in it. I'm curious how our input variables are going to work as well, though. So let's just say country data. See if we get that. If we don't get this, then something else is funky. All right, we're back to this again. We're flaking out. I don't understand that. So it's happy if we just set it, but it's also happy if we just set the flow name. So why is that? What if I just return that value from, right, just do this. happy with that too. But why not an array? Oh, is it because I have a get in front of my... that could be. Maybe that's why. No, because this one's doing the same thing. Hmm. I'm tracking it though. What if we track... This is where I was at the start. Pretty sure. I'm just wondering if it's getting... Is it getting tangled up with the get and the get? I don't know. Let's try this. Still an empty array. That's super weird. Do I have it? Do I have it over here? Yeah. I'm not seeing why this wouldn't be passed. Could try a setter on the other side. Child component was being rendered before my parent wire has returned, so I did the following. But we kind of don't care about rendered. Do we? Maybe we do. Maybe the problem here is maybe our component, does our component need to say, yo, I'm ready? Still doesn't explain why the... And let's see, if I just have this past country data, then what do I get? And it's testing for its existence here as well. And again, it's the only difference is passing a variable or passing an array versus not. Let's try something else. Let's pass, it's not going to matter, but I want to create input variables. This should generate an array or a map. Sure. Let's pass that also. So what's that object look like for input variables? So you'll accept a You'll accept an object, but you won't accept a stupid array. That's dumb. D-U-M-B. Dumb. I mean, I'm happy to just pass it, you know, pass the component, a string, comma separated string, and then you can pass the. I just can't believe you can't pass an array. What is the deal? It's literally just you can't pass an array. I don't know why. Observable membrane. Sounds gross. The spread, maybe spread makes the life easier. I forgot about that. Just packages up all the values and then ships them that way. So you just create a, right, we could do that. See, look how this get country params. I'm still worried about the get, but whatever. Return, and then we pass all these ourselves, right? So how do you name them? Yeah, okay. Let's try this. Don't know if these have to be in order. Let's try it here. If this doesn't work, I'm just gonna, I don't know, pout in the corner. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to pass it. I'm just going to pass the value as a string. Turn it into an array on the other side. Because sheesh. This is silly. Silliness. Okay. Oh, wait. We're not doing the spread. We got to do the spread. Hold on. Did I call it get countries params? Nope. Oh, darn you. There. All right. Big money, no whammies. Where's the corner? Closest corner to pout in. Can't fit back there. right, hopefully we don't have to, though. Nobody puts Tom in the corner. It just doesn't like arrays. What? Fine. Fine. Finity, fine. We're just going to pass. We're going to pass a comma separated list. This is kooky. This is kooky town. Because it's going to accept this. I guess just don't pass arrays, kids. Or maybe not an array of primitives. Maybe it has to be an array of objects. Either way, we're just going to switch gears here and do this as... let's see, if I split... If it's not an array, make it an array, right? On my screen. This dot output variable names, then well, what I really want to do is I just want to split. Yeah, why am I making this hard? I just want to split. Let's just say if is not null, right? Sure. And now you're just going to be the value. Because, all right. I don't know what... I mean, it seems like it'd be smart to pass an array. But you'd think. But you'd be wrong. Now it's an array. I made it. I forced it to be one. So now I guess we'll support both, right? If it's not an array, we'll make it an array. I probably should. You're never going to need white space in there, right? So I should probably trim, or at least replace. Yeah, let's do that. Let's replace. Oh, where are you? Here? No, here. Dot. All right, so if it's not, I guess we could support both here. So if not, array dot is array, this, I cannot type. All right, we'll do this. We'll assume it's a string. Because maybe someday somebody smarter than me will figure out how to pass that correctly. Anyway, back up here, this is still right. Are we catching this on the other side? Let's catch it here. And go. And go. And go. Didn't catch here though. Why is that? Did I take that out? Yeah, I took that out. That's why. We still need our... I think I took that right out of there. Handle or on get country user response. Yeah, let's stop there, and I don't want to stop there. I want to stop here. Let's look at this. Neat. So then I should be able to, right? This should be output variables dot country data. Yep. Cool. Okay, so it's doing the thing. That's neato, Rooney. Now handle the response. Okay, good. Yep. Amazing. Now country options. So we have country data, so the page should react to that, and then we should get our options. Now it's calling it again. That shouldn't be happening. Uh-oh. Oh, because we didn't like actually tell it we did the thing, right? Yeah, we didn't stop the floodgates here. So we could do this. We could just say call get countries. Just tidy this up a little bit. Not that that really matters, but we probably want to do the same. Now the tricky bit's going to be for states, right? And this will be interesting, like, because all of this kind of state management and saying, call this here, don't call this there, because the container component, or I'm sorry, the child component's kind of doing its own thing, and I think reacting to stuff, right? Because we're re-rendering as these things occur. What might make sense is to listen for like a ready state of the component itself, to say, hey, I'm connected, and then maybe just use that as, hey, if it's, or listen for that connected, and then make your calls from there. But I don't know if it's going to reconnect before it I don't know. I still, it's been 100 years, and I'm still trying to figure out the connected callback and rendered callback and when they fire. Anyway, I'm gonna preemptively assume that we're gonna need states here too. We're not gonna call. We have no input variables here. So this one's a little different because this is going to reset every time we change country, which is fine. You know, we can definitely do that. I'm just going to wire up the states while we're here. Probably just call this flow call out. I guess what we actually want to do though is make this call out and then set this to true. I think. Because we also don't want to box ourselves out from right? We don't want to box ourselves out from actually making the call out. I like the idea of listening for like an unconnected to the to our component. I also like the idea of not having to do the spread. I'd rather just be able to kind of call what I want here, and if I have to pass a so flow name, right? It just feels a little easier to kind of set them here. And we're going to pass right. Is that everything? Response, flow. We don't have a namespace. We don't have any input variables. Okay, try that again. Okay, now it's hey-oh, we got a country list. Cool. Holy cow, it's almost 2 o'clock. All right, let's see if we can bang out this this states thing too. I might play around with the whole unconnected thing. I feel like that's a cleaner way to kind of indicate that these things are ready. Or maybe it's just setting a variable itself to say I am ready. And I don't know if that's when it renders or when it... We'll have to play with that. Because I could also just expose a method, right, that says if this is ready, or is it... It might be better to respond to the connected. We'll see. Or it might be better to just do what we're doing here. Anyway, here's, let's see, state. Right, selected state, which we have nothing yet. State options. On state selected. Okay. Yes. So we do need to define this. Could we do that? Could we just call like a reset on these? Okay, on country selected, call get states. And we'll set our state data. We got to listen for that too, right? On get states response. And state data. Okay. And then over here, why is this, what's going on? No closing. Oh dear. Where? Is it in this section? Because I just created this. Nope. Is it in this section? Yes. Oh, here. We got to make another flow call out. Okay. Just do the same thing here. Oops. State options. Okay, so now we should, I think, handle, so on country selected, call get states with a reset. So to go get that, get the stuff back. And then on get states response, we get the state data back. And then when we get the state data back, we can create the state options. And hopefully we're happy. Let's on country selected. About Canada. Okay, call get states. Oh, if call states. Yeah, we're getting past that. Okay. And then we're waiting for the response here. Maybe. Or not. Let's just change it to another country, I guess. Okay, and then flow call out. So let's let's watch for this. Okay, so we got an error. It should show up in our logs here. Yuck. Unhandled. Required field is missing. Okay. All right, so that's the other thing we need to know. So the, let's see. I want to get state input variables. So this is going to be country, and that's going to be this dot selected country, which we also are not setting. So we should do that down here. Is that right? I think that's right. So this is the country's okay, now let's select Albania. Got that, and then let's go to flow callout because I want to see these variables. Oh, we didn't actually set it. We don't need this, right? There we go. Grand finale. Okay, so it should stop at the same place that we want it to. Yep. We have an object. Error again, though. Let's see. Where'd you go? There you are. Still missing the value, so something is up with how we're... because I didn't save this. I don't think. Here we go. Still missing it. All right, so let's on the next round. It could be because we have maybe we're calling get states before Like, it doesn't know that it needs to, like, re-render. It could be. Okay, so we want to watch. Where'd all of our things go? I want to see what it says here, because this might just be coming over as undefined. Yeah. Okay, so even though we're setting this, it's like it's not getting there in time. Like, I kind of wonder if we put it inside the country data template, will it be cool because it sees it's got data there. This is my last test, and then if that doesn't work, then we have a little bit of and it might be, the answer might be to just set the I don't know, can you do that? If I get the component here, I can look that up too. Maybe I can just say flow callout dot input variables equals stuff, at which point it would reevaluate it. And that might be a better way to pass parameters. Well, let's try this, see if it's just in the right. I think it's because it's not reacting. That's my guess. Where are you breakpointing? Oh, never mind. Never mind, you're doing exactly what I told you to do. You're a good robot. Okay, Albania. Let's do this. Interesting. Well, let's see when that's getting. Okay, let's do this. Okay, we got 1 minute. We're gonna figure this out. Let's see. Where are you? Here. Let's see how many times this just gets called throughout the process. Right? Okay, so it's going to be undefined. So that's why it's giving us a blank array. And then when I pick this, yeah. Nope. Wait. Get state input variables. All right. Super close, but here at the end of the show, where did we end up? Country and state pick lists from Countries Now API, wrapping the flows with or I'm sorry, wrapping the API calls in flows so we can call them elsewhere. We ended up with this nice little, hopefully dynamic, hopefully dynamic Lightning Web Component that can just call flows for us and request and respond to the parameters that it needs to. We're having a little bit of trouble getting the right parameters in here. Having these defined like this, it's not reacting, I think, in time to the get state input variables. So this is not being reacted to before we do our call out. So we got to look into that. Let's see what's up. Let me do one more test real quick, because we have get call states. I want to see which one gets called first. All right, so this is for our countries. This is for our states. Yeah, see, it's coming in blank, but it's not. Then it's going to go get the variable back over here, but we're too late. Yeah, we're too late at that point, I think. What is its value now? Oh. Well, that's interesting. All right, maybe we have to like re-render. Can you re-render a component? I don't want to refresh a view. Maybe there's a way for us to re-render the component before we make the call. Maybe that's what we have to play with for next time. But for now, I mean, this worked. We'll do more next time, whenever next time is, next week. I might have a guest next week, so we'll see. But if we can make the, we've got the guts of this working and responding. Now we can do some layout type stuff, and we can enable it for flow, which is really just creating a whole bunch of parameters to pass back and forth. But thanks for hanging out. Sorry we missed a couple of weeks. Summer vacation. I actually get back into a rhythm here, hopefully, and I'll see you next week, one way or another. I'm Tom, and you can't do that on Salesforce.